Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. I don't have my teeth. I'm toothless right now. I've been delaying this video for a while, mostly because I kind of wanted to get like my fake teeth in. Um, I'm not really self conscious about it, but it's mostly like lisps and stuff. But I think I've had it for long enough that I can kind of talk without being misunderstood. If you're in the Discord, you saw that I teased this a couple weeks ago and it actually happened. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna tell a story about what happened, and I'm probably gonna provide some pictures, but it's nothing gonna be gory. I'm not gonna provide any of the gross pictures, mostly just like the thumbs up in the hospital. Basically, what happened was I was in marching band for band camp before school started. This was a couple weeks ago, and it started raining really hard. So we went inside, and it was about across campus from where we usually have our stuff. When the day was done, I went to go put my drum up, and to do that, I had to walk across campus in the rain. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I don't care about getting wet from the rain. So we made it to the building where we usually store instruments, and I was walking down the stairs to go put my drum up when I slipped. Unfortunately, this doesn't get to be a really cool story where I got into like a bar fight or anything. I slipped on some stairs. My drum harness, which is the thing that holds my drum, hit me in the face, and it knocked my teeth out. I fell on my side. I got a bruise from that, and it all happened really really quickly. It felt like a cartoon where your feet were just like whoop, and you just like fell down. That kind of thing. And all of a sudden, one of my teeth shattered, gone, and then the other one hanging like in the back of my mouth. Obviously, I'm not going to show that picture because that one's pretty gory and gross, but yeah, it was weird. When I was on the ground, it didn't hurt. I mean, like it hurt my side when I fell, but like when it hit my mouth, I wasn't in pain. It may have been from the shock. I don't know. I was sitting on the ground. I was looking down at my hands, and I was like bleeding like crazy out of my mouth. I didn't know what the situation was, so I didn't want to like move around too much or mess anything up. So I just kind of like tried to stay still. One of the people who's in drumline, I like to call her the doctor of the group. Like she's usually the one who's like, "Hey, you're about to get a migraine. Go get some water," because she knows the signs for that stuff. So generally, I trust what she says. And she came down and was like, "Let me see." And I opened my mouth up at her, and she went, "Oh no, this is bad." By the way, if someone had an accident and you look at them and go, "Oh no, this is bad," they're gonna freak out. Like, don't do that. I understand she was trying to help. I don't have any problems with that. We're cool. No worries. There still wasn't pain, so I wasn't like freaking out too bad. My heart was racing a little bit, but I was fine. Some adults came down and helped me out. It was really hot in there, and it kind of felt like I was gonna throw up just with all the heat. And so they gave me a cold towel. I was able to get out of there and like go into a more cool area. By the time I made it out of the stairwell, I was waiting for the ambulance to arrive, and a bunch of people had basically crowded around me at that point. I was making jokes and I was trying to make light of it, but my mouth was like so like messed up that like it was kind of illegible. Eventually, the ambulance did arrive, and it was the first time I ever rode in an ambulance. They didn't turn on the lights for the ambulance or anything. I wasn't bleeding out. The damage had already been done. They kind of already realized that, so they just kind of took me to the hospital without it being like too much of an emergency. The guy who rolled me into the back of the ambulance and was sitting back there checking up on me, his name was Daniel. He was awesome. Like, I was making dumb jokes and just like saying whatever, and he was, cool, and he made a couple jokes. Like, we were having fun. Making light of a bad situation, if you will. Obviously, he made sure I wasn't like in pain or anything before he made jokes, and he realized that I was like fine. I got to the hospital around 4 p.m. Basically, it was just trying to figure out what the plan was. A couple of my friends came and visited me. They gave me some cards. There was like a funny card, and then there was like not like serious cards. I think most people were really concerned until they realized I was making jokes, and then they were more okay with it. My parents were out of town visiting my sister at the time, so they were on their way back, but it would be a few hours until they got there. I was okay. I told them that I wasn't like in a rush for them to get back. I was going to be okay, and they were the ones who were more worried than I was. I also got my first CAT scan. I got my first IV, which the IV was really uncomfortable, and I hated it. I also got my first ever stitch. I got it right here. You can see a little red dot. It's out now, but I think something happened with my bottom teeth hitting upward and cutting open my mouth. At the hospital that I was at, they weren't able to get the specialist for like, I guess, dentistry or mouth surgery or something at the time, so they ended up sending me to a hospital that was actually closer to where I'm actually living. They let me keep the IV in when we left so that they didn't have to put another one in at the other hospital, but then they didn't end up using it, so I kind of wish that we had just taken it out in general. When we got in the car, I realized the bruise on my left hip and a knot on my right side of my head. In the scan we took earlier proved that it was just my teeth afflicted. I didn't break anything else or fracture anything else. I didn't get a concussion. When we made it to the next hospital, I didn't have to wait too long, which was nice, but it was a much less private hospital. The first hospital had like specific rooms, but this one had like curtains, so basically you could hear everything else happening in the hospital. The whole time I was there, they were trying to figure out what the plan was going to be. One tooth was completely shattered, but the root was still there, and the other tooth was just hanging there. They were trying to decide whether to put it back in or take it out. Basically, the hospital said that they're supposed to try and save and help everything they can. So if the tooth could be saved, even if it was a low chance, they were supposed to try. However, they also said that the chances were extremely low that it would actually, work, putting it back in, and it would be extremely painful. After being told that, I was kind of done. We had been there for a really long time, and I just told them to remove it. Once I gave them permission to remove it, they numbed up my mouth and then started, cutting the tooth out of the gum. Even with all the numbing, it still hurt really badly, and I was shaking from like the anxiety of it. The doctors were really nice. They gave me like breaks in between trying to get it out. They knew it was a lot, so they were trying to give me as much time as I needed. Once it was finally out, the nurse said that if I had put it back in place, it would have hurt 10 times more. And I'm glad I made the right decision, because it turns out the tooth would never have survived. There were plenty of dentists and people that we've talked to that said, yeah, I'm glad you didn't put it back in because it wouldn't have survived. So we had to stay there for a while to make sure everything was okay. They gave me the tooth, and I was able to leave the hospital by 3 a.m. When we got back home, I think I went to bed around 3:40 a.m. The next morning, we woke up around like 10:30 a.m. and went to the dentist to assess what the plan was about like prosthetic teeth or something of the sort. They gave me some recommendations for oral surgeons. We talked about the plan. They covered up a chipped tooth. That whole like night and day, I didn't eat until like after the dentist appointment, and I didn't eat for 24 hours probably, or drink water. It was really like I couldn't eat or drink anything. After the dentist appointment, we went to Tropical Smoothie. I got me a smoothie, and my diet consisted of like soft foods and nothing like chewy. I was eating like eggs and mashed potatoes, baby food, applesauce, that kind of stuff. Now it's 2 weeks later. We have discussed a plan, and I think until I get my permanent teeth, it's gonna be about 4 months until I like finally finish with all that. I did get fitted for my flipper, which is like fake teeth that are like in a retainer basically, but it's not like you can like chew. Like I can't like bite into a burger. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I'm gonna try to keep you guys updated with like how it's going. I want to get back into streaming even without teeth. That's kind of why I'm making the video now, but I look forward to getting back into it. And yeah, I know it sucks. I know it does. But we're gonna get through it. I'm all right. Thank you for everyone's concern. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.